This is a 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee, which is the second generation model, sold from the 1999 to 2004 model year. It replaces the first generation Grand Cherokee that first came out in 1993. Now, when that Grand Cherokee came out back in 1993, it was the first mainstream SUV offered on the market with unquestionable off-road capability and pretty good on-road mannerisms. And Jeep has carried that theme forward into every concurrent generation of the Grand Cherokee up to today's modern Grand Cherokee. Really kind of paved the path, in a sense, to creating the whole SUV segment as we know it. Now, although this second generation of the Grand Cherokee looks very similar to that first generation model, it was a complete rebuild from the ground up. There were actually very few parts carried over from that first generation model into this second generation model. And as a result, in terms of styling, we see a really nice advancement in terms of being much more modern and contemporary with more rounded edges. Inside, we see a much nicer interior with better build quality, a lot more luxury features, and just overall, it's a much more high quality vehicle than what we saw in that first generation model. Now, I'm a huge fan of every generation of the Grand Cherokee, but this generation really holds a special place in my heart because when I was growing up as a kid, these had just come out and it was one of my favorite vehicles out there. Continues to be one of my favorite generations of the Grand Cherokee even today. I think it's really stood the test of time very well. For a 20-year-old vehicle, it still looks really great. Now, starting up here on the front end, it's got a really nice front end design with a nice modern headlight and grille design. Very clean contemporary styling. And one of the things that's great about the Grand Cherokee is it combines a really nice level of being very sporty and rugged at the same time. And one of the things I think is really cool about the Grand Cherokee is that it's a vehicle that's popular across all demographics and generations. Young people like them, old people like them, females like them, males like them. It really is a vehicle that kind of fills all of those niches very well. On the side profile here again, you'll see it's got a really sporty design to it. This specific vehicle's got kind of a all-terrain tire, which gives it that rugged look. And then this model is also the limited model of the Grand Cherokee, which is the top trim package. With that, we get a lot of additional luxury features inside. And then the other thing that's really different on this vehicle compared to other Grand Cherokees is from here down, all of that plastic is body colored. If you go with the Laredo, that's going to be a gray plastic. So one thing that's really distinct about the limited model. This specific model does have aftermarket taillights. Not really my style, but definitely do stand out. And this whole vehicle really pops with that red color too. Looks great for a 20-year-old vehicle. You'll see that we've got the trailer hitch that's integrated down below in the bumper here, and a nice looking rear hatch. One thing that's really great about this hatch is that it separates into a window and full hatch, so you can push this button here to open up the window. I'm a huge fan of SUVs that do this because if you've got a lot of stuff in the back, you can open this window and not everything's going to fall out on you. Likewise, you can open up the whole hatch and have a really nice large access to this rear cargo area. You will see inside we've got a little compartment here, 12-volt outlet, pretty good amount of storage space, and then we've got a full-size spare down below the floorboard there. And then you also see we've got integrated side rails and crossbars up here, and then again, because this is a limited model, we've got the sunroof. So really great looking vehicle. I love these vehicles just as much as when they first came out. I think they've really stood the test of time very well in terms of styling, and I think it's a vehicle that's going to go down as a classic. Although the interior of the Grand Cherokee may look a little bit basic by today's standards, it was very luxurious for its time. Considering that in 2000 there were very few SUVs on the market and certainly fewer luxury SUVs, it really kind of filled a niche within the market and offered a very luxurious SUV for its time. You'll see that it's got full leather seats, wood insets, and it does come with a pretty good level of standard options and features in this limited trim package. We've got power windows, power door locks, power heated mirrors, memory settings for 2 drivers. It's got an Infinity audio system with great sound characteristics. And then along with our leather seats, you'll see that this driver's seat is full power with lumbar support. On the steering wheel, we've got controls for cruise control. And then our instrument cluster's got a tachometer and speedometer, as well as a few other gauges. In our center dash, we've got our audio system with AM/FM radio, CD, and cassette player. We've got a dual zone climate system for driver and front passenger, as well as heated seats for driver and front passenger. We've also got an ashtray here and a 12-volt outlet on both the driver and passenger side. Down here in the middle, we've got our gear shifter, as well as the shifter for the four-wheel drive system. You'll see it's got a two-wheel drive for part-time, for full-time, and for low option. Two cup holders, and a nice large center console. Up above, we've got a self-dimming rear view mirror and a little LCD screen with trip information, fuel economy information, and some other vehicle settings and info. And then we've also got a sunroof, which does slide open. In the back seat of the Grand Cherokee, you'll see that it's pretty spacious with pretty good leg, head, and shoulder room. We'll give you a quick view up to the front from this angle. These seats do fold down in a 60-40 split. It's a 3-step process. Pull this lever here, and then to sit completely flat, you would also remove the headrest. The second generation model of the Grand Cherokee is available with two different power plant options. The base engine is a 4-liter inline 6, which has 195 horsepower and sees an EPA rating of 15 miles per gallon in the city and 20 miles per gallon on the highway. It also has a great reputation as being a bulletproof power plant. This vehicle's got the 4.7-liter V8, which sees a bump to 235 horsepower. It's got a very impressive 0-60 time of 7.5 seconds, and max tow capacity is 6,500 pounds. We do see a slight drop in fuel economy to 13 miles per gallon in the city and 18 miles per gallon on the highway, and this engine doesn't quite have that same reputation that you get with the 4.0 in terms of that long-term reliability. Both of these engines are available in either a rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive configuration. Having grown up as a huge fan of this second generation model of the Grand Cherokee, it's really fun to finally have the opportunity to drive one, see what it's like, and see how well it lives up to the expectations that I placed on it as a kid. And while I've had the opportunity to drive a lot of nicer SUVs, a lot of newer SUVs, a lot of more expensive SUVs since then, it's still fun to drive this vehicle and see what it's like, and by no means is it as nice as many of the other SUVs that I've driven since then. It's a 20-year-old SUV, and with that, a little bit clunky overall. Suspension has a pretty sloppy feel, steering is a little loose, throttle and transmission response are not amazing, but it's a 20-year-old SUV, and it is the vehicle that really laid the groundwork to the SUV market as we know it, and you've got to give it a lot of credit for that. And you know, looking at it for what it is and comparing it to other vehicles that were introduced back in 2000, I think it's one of the nicest options out there. We'll do a quick acceleration test onto the highway. It's definitely pretty quick. Not as quick as, again, modern SUVs, but considering that this is a 20-year-old vehicle with fairly high mileage, still performs pretty well. So that's the second generation model of the Grand Cherokee. As I already mentioned, I am a huge fan of every generation of the Grand Cherokee, and this generation in particular really holds a special place in my heart. I love the exterior styling on the vehicle. The interior is pretty nice as well, and just overall a really great option if you're looking to get into an old school SUV with off-road credibility and pretty good on-road driving mannerisms. If you have any comments or questions on the Grand Cherokee, leave them in the section below. For more car reviews, be sure to subscribe. In the meantime, thanks for watching.